I sold it. I needed the money for a trip to Florida. She said it while pouring coffee, like she was telling me we were out of milk. I didn't answer right away. Couldn't. The words didn't register at first. Not the meaning, not the weight. I just stared at the back of her head. The tight bun of dark hair knotted high, how it twitched slightly when she reached for the sugar. It was a Monday. I remember because the trash bins were still at the curb and the porch light was on from the night before. Cold wind coming in from the lake. My knees hurt. I'd woken early like I always do, walked past the bedroom door Lauren died in, and stopped at the dresser. Top drawer. Maple box. Worn brass clasp. Empty. I checked again. Took the drawer out, turned it over on the bed. Still empty. That necklace had never moved from that box. Never in all the months since she passed. 42 years we were married. 40 of them with that pendant around her neck. Now it was gone. I'm sorry, Ellie added. When I didn't say anything, I figured you'd want me to be honest. She turned then, coffee in hand. Not a trace of guilt in her voice. Not a flicker of doubt. Just that same cool tone she picked up somewhere after college, when every conversation started to sound like a business meeting. I got $800 for it. River Valley Pawn down in Nashville. The guy said it was solid gold, but dated. I probably could have haggled for more, but... She shrugged, took a sip. Didn't have time. I still didn't speak. I just looked at her. I don't know what I expected. Shock, regret, a sliver of warmth. But her eyes were steady, unreadable. You weren't wearing it, she said. You weren't doing anything with it. I looked past her to the sink. The same sink Lauren used to stand at in the mornings, humming as she peeled oranges or washed the mugs we'd used the night before. I remembered how the sun would hit her from the window, her back lit up in gold and pale blue, that necklace catching light, warm against her chest. Ellie leaned against the counter. I needed the money, Dad. It's not like I sold it for drugs or something. It's a vacation. I haven't had time off in years. Jake and I need it. Jake, her boyfriend of 5 months. Longest she'd stayed with someone since the divorce. Florida, I said finally. She nodded. Jake's brother has a place in Clearwater. Condo near the beach. We just need to pay airfare and food. I figured we could use the break. And the necklace was just sitting there, I said. Exactly. It was the way she said that word. Exactly, that brought the cold. Like she was confirming something we'd both already agreed on. That her mother's pendant no longer mattered. That time had passed. That grief had an expiration date. I sat down. My legs weren't steady anymore. When did you take it? I asked. She looked at the clock. About a week ago. I meant to tell you earlier, but you were in one of your moods. One of my moods. She didn't answer. Just went back to her coffee. I looked at the calendar hanging on the pantry door. Lauren used to write birthdays and appointments in blue ink. Ellie's handwriting now. All caps. Block letters. I counted the days backward. 7. That would have been the Sunday I went to the cemetery alone. Came back to find the window in the bedroom open. Thought maybe I'd left it that way. Did you go through her things? I asked. She turned around. Did you open the other drawers? Touch her scarves? Her books? Jesus, Dad. She set the mug down harder than necessary. No. I took the necklace. That's it. And you thought I wouldn't notice. She crossed her arms. You haven't worn it. You don't even look at it anymore. That's not true. She didn't reply. The silence stretched between us like a taut rope. She picked up the mug again. Her voice softened, but only just. I'm not trying to hurt you. You think selling that necklace doesn't hurt? Her eyes went hard again. I think holding on to grief like it's sacred furniture isn't helping you, Dad. You sleep in the same bed. You use her soap. You haven't changed anything in that room since she died. It's like a museum. I stood up. It's my house, I said. And that necklace was mine to keep. She was my mother, Ellie snapped. And she's gone. You're not the only one who lost someone. I didn't argue. Couldn't. My hands were shaking now, whether from age or anger I couldn't tell. Lauren had picked out that necklace herself. We were living in a 2-bedroom rental off Elm Street, and I was working 12-hour shifts framing commercial sites downtown. She came home one evening with a little blue bag and said, "This is for our future." I thought she meant it as an investment. I didn't know until later that she wore it as a kind of reminder, to herself mostly, that we'd started with love and we'd stay there. She wore it through every pregnancy scare, every move, every family funeral. She wore it when I came back from surgery in '92, when Ellie got accepted to the University of Alabama, when her own father passed. I couldn't count how many mornings I'd watched her fasten it behind her neck, one hand lifting her hair, one working the clasp, a kind of ritual, and now it was gone, sold, for airfare and a week with Jake. "Do you even remember what she used to say about that pendant?" I asked. She shook her head, impatient. She said if she ever lost it, it'd mean she wasn't herself anymore. That was her phrase. "If I don't have this around my neck, check my pulse." She wore it through chemo, through the hair loss, through everything. Ellie's mouth opened, then closed again. Something flickered in her face, but passed quick. "Look," she said, setting down the mug. "I'll pay you back. That's not the point. I'll find something similar." It wasn't about gold. It wasn't about value. It was her. The kitchen went quiet. I stared at the counter where she'd signed her first report card. The floor we'd sanded down one August listening to rain. The hallway where Lauren used to wait for me when I came back late from job sites. Everything stayed. Everything but the one thing that mattered. Ellie picked up her keys. "I have to be at work by 9. We'll talk later." "No," I said. "We won't." She looked at me, then really looked, and for the first time I saw something that might have been fear or shame. But she left anyway, closed the door behind her with a careful click. I stood in that kitchen until the coffee went cold and the house settled around me. Then I walked upstairs, opened the drawer again, touched the velvet. Empty. I called River Valley Pawn the next morning. Didn't eat breakfast. Didn't shave. Just sat at the kitchen table with the yellow notepad Lauren used for grocery lists and started writing down questions. Nashville's full of pawn shops, but River Valley was printed on the back of an old receipt Ellie left by accident in the trash. Crumpled, faint ink, still legible if you turned it toward the light. I flattened it out, copied the number, dialed. The phone rang 5 times. A man answered. Calm voice, older maybe. "River Valley Pawn." Cleared my throat. "Yeah, I'm calling about a necklace that came in recently. Heart-shaped pendant. Gold, maybe 14 karat. Sold by a woman in her 30s. Dark hair. Tall." There was a pause. "What day was this?" he asked. "Sunday before last." Another pause. I could hear him shifting papers, maybe checking a logbook. "That would be October 22nd. Yeah, I remember her. Came in late in the afternoon. Didn't talk much. Seemed like she was in a hurry." "She sell a heart pendant?" He hesitated. "Sir, can I ask why you're calling?" "It was my wife's," I said. "She passed. The pendant was the only thing I kept. My daughter sold it without telling me." Quiet on the other end. Then a low sigh. "I see. Do you still have it?" "Yes. It's not on display, though. I had it pulled. I was gonna call the woman who brought it in, but she didn't leave a number. I figured maybe she was just clearing out old jewelry." My voice dropped. "I'll buy it back. Whatever price you want." There was a longer pause now, like he was deciding something. "Sir," he said carefully, "you may want to come in and see it for yourself." I frowned. "Why?" "Because we found something inside it. Something unusual." I sat up straighter. "Inside, the pendant opens. It's got a hidden clasp. Took me a while to figure out. It's flush with the curve. Real subtle work. Probably hand done. When I opened it, there was a piece of paper tucked inside. Folded tight. Looked like a note." My mouth went dry. I stared at the receiver like it might explain itself. "I didn't know it opened," I said. "Most people wouldn't. It's not obvious. I've seen a lot of jewelry in 30 years, and this one, it was designed to hide something." "What did the note say?" I didn't read all of it. Figured it was personal. But I saw enough to realize it wasn't junk. Can you hold it for me? Of course. I already set it aside. Soon as I saw the note, I knew it wasn't something to just toss into the case. I can be there in 2 hours. I'll be here. Name's Carl. I thanked him, hung up, and sat still for a long time. The coffee had gone cold in my mug, untouched since 6 a.m. But I drank it anyway. Lauren's handwriting. A hidden clasp. A note. A secret. I packed my old wallet, jacket, keys. Left Ellie a note of my own, short, just to let her know I'd be out for the day. No point in confrontation. Not yet. The drive to Nashville was quiet. Early traffic had thinned, and the sky was flat gray, the kind that makes the world look like it's thinking. I kept one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the seat beside me, palm open, like I was reaching for something that wasn't there. Lauren never talked about hiding anything. Not once in 4 decades. She planned birthdays down to the dessert. She made lists for everything. Camping, Christmas, groceries, even the hospital bag when Ellie was born. And yet she never mentioned that pendant could open. I remembered how she used to touch it sometimes when she thought no one was watching. Just a quick thumb press against the back. Nervous tick, I thought. Comfort. A habit formed in the early years and carried forward. But maybe it wasn't just comfort. Maybe it was checking. Reassuring herself it was still there. Still sealed. River Valley Pawn was tucked between a tire shop and a strip of boarded-up storefronts just east of the river. Brick exterior. Faded awning. Inside smelled like metal and wood polish. Guns on one wall, tools behind glass, a locked cabinet of watches near the counter. Carl was exactly how he sounded. Late 50s, hair gone silver at the sides, calm eyes behind thick lenses. You must be Mr. Callahan, he said. Come on back. He led me to a side room, quieter than the floor. Closed the door behind us. On the table was a velvet cloth, and on that cloth, my wife's necklace. It hit me harder than I expected. There it was, just as I remembered. The same kink in the chain near the clasp. The same tiny dent on the side of the heart. I hadn't seen it in 10 days, but the loss had stretched longer than that. Like something sacred had been lifted out of the world and finally returned. Carl gestured. I didn't clean it. Figured you'd want it just as it was. I nodded, swallowed hard. He stepped back, giving me space. I picked it up, still warm from the room. I turned it gently in my hand, found the edge of the hidden seam, pressed with my thumb. Click. The heart opened with a soft snap. Inside, nestled like a secret kept too long, was a small square of paper. Folded tight, yellowed with time. I used my thumb and forefinger to ease it out, unfold it slowly. Her handwriting. I knew it instantly. The way she looped her Y's. The way she crossed her T's low. It wasn't long. Just a few lines. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. Look in the tin behind the third panel in the attic crawl space. Tell Ellie the truth when you're ready. I love you. I trust you. Elle. My throat closed. I stood there holding a dead woman's voice in my hand. Carl waited. Thank you, I said quietly. You didn't have to keep it safe. Some things aren't meant for shelves, he said. I knew it right away. That kind of grief, you can see it on a piece of gold. It stays. Paid him. He tried to waive off part of the price, but I insisted. Fair was fair. Lauren would have said the same. Back in the truck, I sat for a while before starting the engine. The crawl space. The third panel. The tin. I hadn't opened that section of the attic in years. Not since the insulation job in '09. But she'd known I'd remember. She trusted I'd find it. And the line about Ellie, tell her the truth. That stuck. That held weight. Because it wasn't just a note. It was a message passed through time. Through death. Lauren didn't just hide money or papers. She hid something that needed protection. From Ellie? From someone else? I didn't know yet. But it mattered. I looked out the windshield at the rows of brick and barbed wire, at the shape of the sky folding in like a closing hand. Then I turned the key and drove home. I got home around 2. Didn't eat. Didn't answer Ellie's texts. just went straight to the attic. There's a narrow panel at the back, behind the insulation rolls and the old baby crib we never got rid of. Lauren always called that corner her little cave. Kept holiday decorations, tax boxes, her mother's recipe books wrapped in twine. It took me a minute to remember which panel was third, counting from the chimney side, not the hatch. I pried it loose. Dust poured down. Behind it was a metal tin, small, flat, maybe 6 inches wide. Rusted at the corners. Looked like something you'd keep buttons or paper clips in, nothing valuable. But when I picked it up, it had weight. I brought it downstairs. Set it on the kitchen table where Ellie had poured coffee 2 mornings earlier. That spot still felt warm with memory. The tin opened with a squeak. Inside were 5 things. First, a small sealed envelope with my name in her handwriting. Second, a black USB drive, unmarked. Third, 2 folded documents, birth certificate copies, both with the name Ellie Callahan at the top, but with different middle names. Fourth, a faded photograph. Lauren standing next to a man I didn't recognize. Gray suit. Wedding setting. Not me. Fifth, a handwritten page, dense with writing. Not a note. A confession. I opened the envelope first. Michael, it began. If you're reading this, I'm already gone, and I've finally run out of time to explain all the things I should have told you years ago. Forgive me. I didn't hide the truth because I didn't love you. I hid it because I was afraid it would break the life we'd built. But maybe that was cowardice. You always saw clearer than I did. And now it's time you saw everything. I read slowly. Her voice filled the room as if she were sitting across from me. Ellie isn't your daughter by blood. I stopped. Read the sentence again. Ellie was born in Louisville in 1985. Her father's name was Richard Payne. I met him before I met you. I was 23, scared, working at a county library, and Richard was complicated. He was older, kind, and then cruel. There were nights I slept in my car just to avoid going home. I left him while I was pregnant, took a bus south, found work cleaning rooms at a roadside motel until I could afford something better. I changed my name, gave birth alone in a clinic with no family, and I told myself that when I started over, Ellie would start over too. When I met you, I didn't plan to lie. But you were gentle. You asked nothing of me. You fixed the broken tiles in my kitchen just because I mentioned them. You brought soup when I was sick. You held Ellie like she was yours. You became hers even if the blood never matched. I filed for a legal name change in '87. Made everything match. Started fresh. But I never told her. And I never told you. Because you loved her like your own. And she loved you. But Richard never stopped trying to find us. I got letters twice. I burned them. Once, in '92, I saw a man outside the grocery store I swear looked like him. He didn't come near, but I started carrying pepper spray after that. In 2003, I got a call. From a lawyer. Richard had died in a motorcycle accident. No will. No wife. No other children. I thought that meant the story was over. But about a year later, I got another letter. From a woman named Marianne. She said she was Richard's sister. That she'd tracked me down. That she knew who Ellie was. That she had the right to meet her niece. I didn't answer. I kept everything quiet. Then, in 2016, Marianne called Ellie's work. I only know this because I checked the phone logs from the joint cell account. She asked for Ellie by full birth name, the old one. The one Ellie didn't even know. But Ellie wasn't there that day. The receptionist told her it was a wrong number. That's when I hid the documents. That's when I wrote this letter. I didn't know what else to do. I was terrified Ellie would find out, trace it back, and think I'd lied to her out of shame. Or worse, that you'd look at her differently. But I know now that truth doesn't vanish just because you bury it. Michael, there's one more thing. The USB drive contains scanned letters. The ones from Richard. The one from Marianne. And a scanned copy of the court order I filed in 1986 when I changed our names. You'll see it's legal. Clean. Do with it what you think is right. But please don't hate me for this. Everything I did was to protect her. I love you, Lauren. I sat still a long time. The fridge hummed. Outside, a leaf blower started up, then stopped. The house breathed, with settling, pipes ticking. I looked at the photograph again. Lauren, young, maybe 24, standing next to the man in the gray suit. He had a crooked smile, eyes that didn't smile with him. I'd never seen her that young in any photo she'd kept. And the way she stood stiff, not leaning into him, hands clasped tight at her waist, told me more than the letter could. I looked again at the birth certificate copies. Same first and last name. But one said Ellie Rose Payne. The other, Eleanor Marie Callahan. A clean slate, erased and redrawn. I reached for the USB, plugged it into my laptop. Folders. One marked letters. One marked court. One marked Marianne. I opened letters first. Richard's writing was wild. Rambling. Sentences all over the place. He begged her to come back, then blamed her for leaving. Promised to be better, then warned she'd regret it. The last one was dated March 1992. If you don't let me see her, I'll come find her myself. You can't keep her from me forever. She burned the rest, but not that one. The court folder had scans of name change documents. Official. Signed. Stamped. The Marion folder had just one file. A typed letter with a return address in Georgia. Lauren, I don't want to make trouble. I just want to know my niece. I have a right to that. Richard was family. Ellie is family. You can't erase blood. Marion Payne. She had, for 30 years. I closed the laptop, sat with my hand over the lid. The story I'd believed, father, mother, daughter, was still true in every way that mattered. Except one. Ellie wasn't mine by blood. I wasn't hers. Not legally. Not technically. But I'd held her as an infant. Helped her tie her shoes. Stood up for her when the vice principal accused her of cheating on a science test in 9th grade. Taught her how to drive a stick shift in the church parking lot on Sunday afternoons. Paid for her wisdom teeth. Her first apartment deposit. The clutch replacement on her first car. None of that changes. None of it disappears because a man in a photo once wore a ring on Lauren's hand. But Ellie's face, her indifference, her carelessness, rushed back. She sold the pendant without asking, without pausing. She emptied the drawer, took the last thing Lauren wore, pawned it for plane tickets. And now I understood something deeper. She didn't know what that pendant meant, because she didn't know who Lauren had been before. And she didn't know who I had been to her all these years. Not just a father, but a choice. Lauren had chosen me to raise her. That changes everything. I looked again at the last line of Lauren's note. Tell Ellie the truth when you're ready. I folded the letter, sealed the tin again, locked it in the gun safe in the basement, along with the drive and documents. Then I poured a glass of water, stood at the sink where Lauren used to sing, and stared out at the yard. I would tell her, but not today. Not until I knew what Marion wanted now. Not until I was sure what Ellie deserved to hear. I didn't tell Ellie. Not that night. Not the next. I kept the tin in the gun safe, behind my old discharge papers and a folder marked insurance, that hadn't been updated since before Lauren got sick. I'd sit on the edge of the bed some mornings, look toward the closet, and wonder what Lauren would have done, if she'd have sat Ellie down right after the funeral or waited, like me. Waited for the right moment, as if grief ever gave you one. But that sentence stuck. Tell Ellie the truth, when you're ready. What does ready look like? I got my answer sooner than expected. 3 days after the pawn shop, Ellie came back from her trip. Sunburned across the nose, hair in a braid, suitcase in one hand, takeout in the other. Chinese. Same place we used to go on Friday nights when she was 12. Brought dinner, she said casually, dropping the bag on the kitchen counter. Jake had to drive straight to work. They called him in. She didn't mention the necklace. Didn't ask if I'd found out. Just opened the fridge, complained about the smell, and tossed out a Tupperware of leftover beans I'd planned to finish that night. We sat at the table like nothing had happened. She talked about Clearwater, the beach, how the sand wasn't like up here. It's finer, brighter. I nodded, quietly, picked at the rice. You okay? She asked halfway through the meal. You look tired. I'm fine, I said. She leaned back in the chair Lauren used to sit in. I've been thinking, she said. I want to get my own place. Not far. Just a little rental, something small. Because of the necklace? No, she said too quickly. I mean, it's not that. It's just time. I'm 38. Can't keep crashing with my dad forever. Not crashing, I said. It's your home too. She looked at me carefully. Do you forgive me? She asked. I didn't answer right away. She pushed her plate back. Unfinished. I was angry, she said. You said no to helping with the trip, and I guess I felt like I've given a lot, too, over the years. What have you given? She blinked. I mean, I gave up Chicago. Remember? I stayed after the divorce when I could have transferred with work. I moved back here to help you after Mom died. You didn't help me, I said. You stayed in the guest room and cried a lot. I did the laundry. I paid the bills. She looked down. I know, she said. The silence between us stretched out. I went to the pawn shop, I said. Her eyes flashed up. You got it back? I nodded. And I opened it. She froze. It opens? Yes. She didn't speak. Her face went pale. There was a note inside, I said. She licked her lips. What kind of note? From your mother. For me. Her voice dropped. What did it say? I waited. Let the moment hold. It said to tell you the truth. She shifted in her seat, trying to smile. About what? She said your name used to be Ellie Rose Payne. I saw it then, the way her eyes widened just for a second. Flinch. Recognition. You knew, I said. She swallowed. No. I mean, I saw something once. A paper in Mom's closet when I was 17. I asked about it. She said it was a mistake. An old form. I didn't push. She wasn't your birth mother. No, she said quietly. I figured that much. She was. You weren't born with the name Callahan. And I'm not your biological father. She didn't say anything. Just breathed slow, shallow. She left your birth father. Changed both your names. Started over. I didn't know until last week. She left everything in a tin. In the attic. Why now? She asked. Why tell me now? Because you sold the last thing she left me. Ellie winced. I told you I was sorry. I'm not looking for sorry, I said. I'm looking for understanding. That necklace wasn't just a keepsake. It was where she hid the truth. She crossed her arms, defensive now. Why would she do that? She said. Why wouldn't she just tell me? Because she was afraid. Because the man she left was dangerous. Because she didn't want you growing up looking over your shoulder. I paused. She left me that note because she trusted I'd know when to tell you. Ellie's voice cracked. And you think I shouldn't have been told until now? I think she hoped it wouldn't come to that. That we could live a whole life without it mattering. Ellie stood. Walked to the sink. Gripped the edge. What else did she say? She said Marion Payne is still alive. Richard's sister. She tried contacting you once. In 2016. Ellie's voice was flat. I got a call that year. Thought it was a wrong number. They asked for Eleanor Rose. It wasn't wrong. She looked out the window. I always wondered why I didn't look like you, she said. Thought maybe it was just a fluke. Or from Mom's side. I didn't respond. After a while, she turned around. So what now? You want me to meet this Marianne? You want me to find out more? I want you to do what feels right, I said. But I want you to know who you are. Who your mother really was. What she did to protect you. Ellie wiped her face quickly. I loved her, she said. I know. I'm sorry I sold it. I believe you. She sat back down. Her voice had changed. Quieter now. Does it change anything? That I'm not yours? No, I said. I chose you every day. I raised you. Held you when you had ear infections. Waited in the car while you took your driving test. I'm not your father by blood. But I'm your father. She looked away, blinking fast. We sat like that for a long time. Then she whispered, Can I see the tin? I nodded. After dinner, I brought it out. Laid it on the same table where Lauren used to write cards. Ellie opened it with trembling hands. Read the letter. Held the birth certificate side by side. She was so scared, she said. She never showed it. She must have trusted you a lot. She did. Ellie looked at the photo. Is that him? I nodded. He looks mean. He was. She traced her thumb along the edge of the paper. Thank you for telling me, she said. I didn't say anything. Just rested my hand on the table, palm up. She reached across and took it. We sat there until the light faded from the windows and the crickets came out. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks.